Hey guys, it's Rosie here. So today we're going to be reading about what was the Great Depression. It's by Janet B. Pasco. So here we go. There are only 11 chapters in this book, but don't worry, it will be taking time and it will be easy. So here we go. What was the Great Depression? In the fall of 1928, Herbert Hoover, future president of the United States, announced, "We, in America, today are nearer to the final triumph over poverty than ever before in the history of any land." Most citizens agreed. Life was the best it had ever been. Only 4% of the population was unemployed. 4 out of every 100 workers. A little more than a year later, financial panic had taken over. The New York stock market crashed. Billionaires were ruined. Ordinary citizens lost everything. Well, that's too bad as well. So the crisis spread from the stock market to the rest of the country. Banks and businesses closed. People's life savings disappeared. Banks and businesses closed. People's life savings disappeared. They lost their jobs and their home. By 1933, one out of every 4 Americans was out of work. The crisis soon spread all over the world. This period is called the Great Depression. It remains the worst financial disaster the modern world has ever known. All the money, goods, businesses, and workers that make a country run are called its economy. During the Great Depression, the economy are called its economy. During the Great Depression, the economy broke down almost completely. To those living through it, it seemed like a bad dream that would not end. What had happened? How did the good times end so quickly? Chapter 1. Time to have fun. That's a rhyme. Hey, that's a rhyme. Hey. The Roaring Twenties, the new era, the Jazz Age, all the common names for the 1920s. Tell us that it was an exciting decade to be alive. The horror of World War I was past. It says I was past though, but it's okay. The world was at peace. Everyone was earning money, and it was time to have fun. Although I love fun, electricity and telephone lines were linking more and more places. Labor-saving devices that made daily life easier were suddenly everywhere. Automobiles were cheap enough that middle-class families could own them. Roads sprang up all over. Suddenly the whole country was open to anyone with a car. People opened their newspapers every day and saw ads urging them to go out and have fun. Families all over the country enjoyed the same radio shows and movies. Most cities had huge fancy movie palaces where audience could feel like royalty. More and more people were moving to the cities. When World War I started, over half of the population in the United States lived in the countryside. By the end of the 20s, nearly 6 out of every 10 people lived in cities. Yeah, that's right. They do live in cities. That is true. Right. Prohibition. In 1920, the United States government made it illegal to sell alcoholic drinks. This law was called prohibition, but it didn't stop people from drinking. We did have the appositive, but we don't start our sentences by using a fanboys. We do it after it. But I don't know, we'll see. But it didn't stop people from drinking. During the Roaring Twenties, it became fashionable to go to illegal bars called speakeasies. People who made or smuggled drinks were called bootleggers. The power of bootleggers during Prohibition led to the rise of gangster organizations like the Mafia. During the Depression, many people survived by becoming bootleggers. Politicians such as Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who wanted to end prohibition were known as wets. Similar when you get wet, you guys. And it was an exciting new time, full of places to go and products to buy. People could pay for things in a new way, easy credit. Before this, most Americans had believed that borrowing money was wrong. And in any case, it was hard for anyone who was not rich to get a loan from a bank. But now it became very easy to borrow. People bought fancy new washing machines and vacuum cleaners by putting down a small amount of money. They promised to pay off the rest a little bit every month. The 1920s were the era of buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later didn't just apply to radios and vacuum cleaners. People also bought stocks with borrowed money. Stocks had been around for a long time. Basically, they work like this. An investor buys a number of shares in a company such as Microsoft. I love Microsoft. Now he owns a small part of a company. When it does well, very well, the value of the shares rises. The value of a share rises. There, said it. When it does badly, the shares are worth less. Yep, I said it with my eyes closed. If the company fails, they are worth nothing. The shares value changes constantly, and shares can be sold at any time for whatever they are worth at that moment. People hoped to discover a company before it was very well known. Then they could buy its stock cheaply.